Hello, friends. Welcome back to Old Coins News. If you are passionate about coin collecting or you have a collection of old coins, then today's video is going to be very special for you. Because today, we are going to talk about a coin that may look simple at first glance, but its real value might truly surprise you, so make sure you watch the video until the end. Don't forget to like and share it with your friends. And if you're new to the channel, be sure to subscribe, because here you will discover the real stories behind rare coins and their true market value every single day. Let's get started. The 1964 United States 1-cent coin is one of the most widely collected and historically interesting pennies of the 20th century. Officially issued by the United States Mint, this coin belongs to the famous Lincoln cent series, which first began in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln. The Lincoln cent was groundbreaking because it was the first regular U.S. circulating coin to feature a real historical person instead of a symbolic figure like Lady Liberty. By 1964, the design had already been in circulation for 55 years, making it one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. On the obverse front of the 1964 1-cent coin, you will see a right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This portrait was designed by Victor David Brenner, whose initials VDB appear subtly at the bottom of the reverse near the rim on earlier versions and on the obverse in later redesigns. Above Lincoln's head is the word Liberty, placed to the left side of the portrait. On the right side, you will find the date 1964. The national motto, "In God We Trust," arches along the top rim of the coin. This motto officially became mandatory on all U.S. coins in the 1950s during the Cold War era, reflecting America's emphasis on faith and national identity during that period. The reverse back of the 1964 cent features two wheat stalks curving along the left and right edges. Because of this design, these coins are popularly called wheat pennies or wheat cents. At the top center, the inscription reads United States of America. Directly below that appears the Latin phrase E pluribus unum, which means out of many, one. This phrase reflects the unity of the original states forming one nation. At the bottom center is a denomination 1 cent. The wheat reverse design was used from 1909 until 1958, after which it was replaced by the Lincoln Memorial reverse in 1959. However, many people sometimes confuse 1964 cents with earlier wheat cents, but technically, by 1964 the coin featured the Lincoln Memorial reverse, not wheat stalks. The correct 1964 Lincoln cent reverse actually displays the Lincoln Memorial Building in Washington, D.C. This reverse was designed by Frank Gasparro. If you look closely between the columns of the memorial, you can even see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside, a small but impressive detail for such a small coin. Above the memorial is United States of America, and below it appears 1 cent, with E pluribus unum written above the building. In terms of composition, the 1964 Lincoln cent was made of 95% copper and 5% tin and zinc. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. This high copper content gives the coin its classic reddish-brown appearance. Coins from this era are heavier than modern pennies, which since 1982 have mostly been made of zinc with thin copper coating. Because of their copper content, many collectors and metal enthusiasts prefer pre-1982 pennies, including the 1964 issue. The 1964 cent was struck at two mint locations, Philadelphia and Denver. Coins minted in Philadelphia do not carry a mint mark, while those struck in Denver have a small D mint mark below the date. There were no proof coins struck in 1964 because proof production was temporarily suspended from 1965 to 1967 due to a nationwide coin shortage. The United States was experiencing high demand for coinage during the early 1960s, partly due to economic growth and coin hoarding. Mintage numbers for the 1964 Lincoln cent were extremely high. Philadelphia produced over 2.6 billion coins, while Denver struck more than 3.7 billion pieces. This massive production makes the 1964 penny very common in circulated condition. Because of its abundance, most circulated examples are worth only face value 1 cent. However, uncirculated coins in brilliant red condition, known as MS Red, can carry a small premium. High-grade examples certified by grading companies can sell for several dollars, and exceptionally high-grade pieces can reach much higher prices in auctions. Collectors grade 1964 cents based on color and condition. There are three main color categories: brown, BN, red-brown, RB, and red road. A fully red coin that has retained its original mint luster is more desirable. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with MS 65 and above considered gem quality. Since billions are produced, only perfectly preserved coins command strong collector interest. Historically, 1964 was an important year for the United States. It was a year following the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, and during this time the country was going through significant social and political changes. While the 1964 penny itself does not feature Kennedy, the era marked a transition in American coinage. In fact, 1964 was the last year that 90% silver was used in dimes, quarters, and half dollars before the switch to clad coinage in 1965. Although the penny remained copper-based until 1982, the broader coinage system was changing dramatically. Era coins from 1964 can be valuable. Some known varieties include double dies, off-center strikes, and repunch mint marks RPM on Denver issues. A strong double die obverse can show noticeable doubling in the date or lettering, and such coins may be worth significantly more than face value depending on condition and clarity of the era. Always inspect the date and lettering carefully under magnification if you suspect an error variety. The edge of the 1964 penny is plain, without reeds. The coin's simple yet iconic design has made it a favorite among beginner collectors. Many people started their coin collections by searching through rolls of pennies looking for older dates like 1964 and earlier copper issues. In today's coin market, the typical circulated 1964 Lincoln cent is still very common and worth 1 cent. However, collectors often save them because of their copper value and historical appeal. In high uncirculated grades such as MS 67 Red, auction prices can reach hundreds of dollars, especially if the coin has exceptional eye appeal and flawless surfaces. In summary, the 1964 United States 1 cent coin represents a classic piece of American numismatic history. Featuring Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse, it reflects national pride, unity, and tradition, with inscriptions such as "In God We Trust," "Liberty," "E Pluribus Unum," and "United States of America." The coin carries powerful symbols of American identity. Though common in circulation, it remains an essential part of any Lincoln cent collection and continues to be appreciated by coin enthusiasts around the world. The 1993 D United States 1 cent coin is a modern issue from the long-running and historically significant Lincoln cent. First introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birthday of Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln cent became the first regular circulating U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure. By 1993, this design had been in circulation for more than 8 decades, making it one of the most recognized coin designs in the world. The 1993 D cent was struck at the Denver facility of the United States Mint, and the small D mint mark below the date identifies it as a Denver issue. On the obverse front of the 1993 D penny, you will see the familiar right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This portrait was originally created by Victor David Brenner in 1909. Brenner's design has stood the test of time, with only minor adjustments over the decades. Above Lincoln's head appears the national motto, "In God We Trust," which has been required on all U.S. coins since the 1950s. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word "Liberty," and to the right is the date 1993. Directly beneath the date is a D mint mark, signifying that this coin was produced at the Denver Mint. At the base of Lincoln's shoulder are Brenner's initials VDB, which are small but visible under magnification. The reverse back of the 1993 D cent features the Lincoln Memorial design. This reverse was introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth, and was designed by Frank Gasparo, who served as chief engraver of the United States Mint. The Lincoln Memorial building is centered on the coin, with remarkable detail for such a small denomination. If you look closely between the columns of the memorial, you can actually see a tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside, an impressive artistic achievement. Above the memorial appears the inscription "United States of America," while "E Pluribus Unum" is written across the upper portion above the building. At the bottom center is the denomination 1 cent. This reverse design remained in use until 2008. In terms of composition, the 1993 D penny is made primarily of zinc, 97.5%, with a thin outer layer of copper, 2.5%. This copper-plated zinc composition was introduced in 1982 due to rising copper prices. The coin weighs approximately 2.5 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. Its edge is plain, without reeds. Because the coin is mostly zinc inside, damage or corrosion can sometimes expose the silver-colored zinc core beneath the copper plating. This makes proper storage important for collectors who want to preserve the coin's original appearance. The mintage of the 1993 D Lincoln cent was very high, as billions of pennies were needed annually for circulation in the United States economy. The Denver Mint alone produced over 6 billion 1993 D cents, making it extremely common in circulated condition. Because of this large mintage, most 1993 D pennies found in pocket change are worth only their face value of 1 cent. However, condition plays a major role in determining collector value. Coin grading is done on a scale from 1 to 70. Circulated coins at show may grade anywhere from good, G4, to extremely fine, EF40. Uncirculated coins with nowhere are graded mint state, MS60 and above. High-grade coins such as MS66 or MS67 with full red color, designated as road, can command higher prices in the collector market. Lincoln cents are also categorized by color: brown BN, red-brown RB, and red road. A fully red coin with original mint luster is the most desirable. Because the copper layer on modern cents is thin, maintaining bright red color depends on proper storage and minimal exposure to air and moisture. In addition to regular circulation strikes, proof coins were produced in 1993 at the San Francisco Mint with an S Mint mark. These proof coins feature mirror-like fields and frosted design elements, often displaying strong cameo contrast. Proof coins were sold directly to collectors in special sets and were not intended for general circulation. While the 1993 D penny is common, collectors still examine these coins for errors and varieties. Possible mint errors include off-center strikes, clip planches, die cracks, and double die varieties. A strong double die obverse could show visible doubling in the date, mint mark, or lettering such as Liberty or In God We Trust. Error coins in high grades can be worth significantly more than face value, depending on the type and severity of the error. Historically, 1993 was a period of economic growth and technological advancement in the United States. The penny continued to serve as a fundamental unit of commerce, even as debates about eliminating the cent occasionally surfaced due to production costs. Despite these discussions, the Lincoln cent remained an enduring symbol of American history and unity. The inscriptions Liberty, In God We Trust, and E Pluribus Unum reflect the nation's core ideals and traditions. Collectors often save modern pennies like the 1993 D in high-grade uncirculated rolls. Original bank-wrap rolls with bright red coins are especially attracted to collectors who want examples with minimal handling marks. Certified high-grade examples encapsulated by professional grading services may sell for higher premiums at auction, especially if they are among the finest known. In summary, the 1993 D United States 1 cent is a copper-plated zinc Lincoln Memorial cent struck at the Denver Mint, featuring Abraham Lincoln's iconic portrait on the obverse and the detailed Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. It carries inscriptions that symbolize American unity and faith. Although extremely common in circulated condition and usually worth only 1 cent, high-grade uncirculated examples, proof issues, and error varieties can carry additional collector value. As part of the historic Lincoln cent series, the 1993 D penny continues to be a small yet meaningful piece of American numismatic heritage. The 1978 United States 1 cent coin is part of the historic and long-running Lincoln cent series, one of the most recognized coin series in American history. First introduced in 1909 to commemorate the 100th anniversary of the birth of Abraham Lincoln, the Lincoln cent was the first regular circulating U.S. coin to feature the portrait of a real historical person. By 1978, this design had already been in circulation for nearly 70 years, making it a deeply familiar symbol of American identity and tradition. The coin was produced by the United States Mint and struck for everyday circulation across the country. On the obverse front of the 1978 penny, you will see the right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This portrait was created by Victor David Brenner, whose design was selected in 1909 and has remained one of the most enduring images in U.S. coinage. Above Lincoln's head appears the national motto, In God We Trust, which has been required on all U.S. coins since the mid-20th century. To the left of Lincoln's portrait is the word Liberty, and to the right is a date 1978. Just below Lincoln's shoulder, you can find the small initials VDB representing the designer. These initials were originally controversial in 1909, but later became a standard feature of the design. The reverse back of the 1978 cent features the Lincoln Memorial, a design introduced in 1959 to celebrate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This reverse was designed by Frank Gasparro, who was the chief engraver of the United States Mint at the time. The Lincoln Memorial building stands prominently in the center of the coin. If you look closely between the columns of the memorial, you can actually see a tiny seated statue of Lincoln inside, an incredible detail considering the small size of the coin. Above the memorial is the inscription United States of America, and below it is a denomination 1 cent. The Latin motto E pluribus unum, meaning out of many, one, appears above the memorial, symbolizing the unity of the states into one nation. In terms of physical specifications, the 1978 Lincoln cent is composed of 95% copper and 5% zinc. This was a traditional bronze composition used for U.S. pennies from 1909 until 1982, except for the 1943 steel cents. The coin weighs approximately 3.11 grams and has a diameter of 19 millimeters. The edge of the coin is plain, smooth, without reeds. Because it is made primarily of copper, the 1978 penny has a warm reddish tone when in uncirculated condition. Over time, exposure to air and handling can cause the surface to darken to a brown color. The 1978 penny was struck at 2 mint facilities, Philadelphia and Denver. Philadelphia minted coins from this period do not carry a mint mark, while Denver coins have a small D mint mark below the date. There were also proof coins struck at the San Francisco Mint, carrying an S mint mark. Proof coins were specially made for collectors using polished dies and specially prepared planchets, resulting in sharp details and mirror-like backgrounds. Mintage numbers for the 1978 cent were extremely high. Philadelphia produced over 5.5 billion coins, while Denver struck over 4.1 billion pieces. San Francisco produced several million proof coins for collector sets. Because of these large production numbers, the 1978 penny is very common in circulated condition. Most examples found in pocket change today are worth only their face value of 1 cent. However, uncirculated examples in high mint state grades can carry a small premium, especially those with bright red luster and minimal marks. Collectors evaluate 1978 pennies based on condition and color. There are 3 standard color designations: brown BN, red brown RB, and red road. A full red road coin that retains its original mint color is more desirable and valuable than a brown example. Grading is done on a 1 to 70 scale, with MS65 or higher considered gem quality. Coins graded MS67 red or higher can sometimes sell for significantly higher prices at auction, especially if they are well preserved and professionally certified. Although the 1978 penny is common, some error coins of varieties can be valuable. Examples include double die errors, off-center strikes, die cracks, and clip planchets. A noticeable double die variety would show doubling in the lettering, date, or motto. These errors are not common but can increase the coin's value depending on the strength of the doubling and overall condition. The historical context of 1978 also adds interest to the coin. The late 1970s were a period of economic challenges in the United States, including inflation and energy concerns. Despite these challenges, billions of pennies continue to be produced to support daily commerce. The Lincoln cent remained a steady and symbolic part of American life, representing stability and continuity during changing times. One reason collectors appreciate pre-1982 pennies like the 1978 issue is their copper content. Because copper prices have increased over the years, the intrinsic metal value of older bronze cents is often slightly higher than 1 cent, although it is illegal to melt U.S. pennies for their metal content. Many collectors and hobbyists save copper pennies for this reason. Proof versions of the 1978 S-cent are especially attractive. These coins have deep mirror-like fields and frosted raised details, often described as cameo or deep cameo contrast. Proof coins are usually kept in protective packaging and are less likely to show wear, making them popular among collectors who want high-quality examples. In summary, the 1978 United States 1-cent coin is a classic copper Lincoln Memorial cent featuring Abraham Lincoln's iconic portrait on the obverse and the detailed Lincoln Memorial design on the reverse, with inscriptions including "In God We Trust," "Liberty," "E Pluribus Unum," "United States of America," and 1 cent. The coin carries powerful national symbolism. Although it is very common in circulated condition and usually worth face value, high-grade uncirculated coins, proof versions, and rare era varieties can carry additional collector value. As part of the enduring Lincoln cent series, the 1978 penny remains a meaningful and historic piece of American coinage that continues to be collected and appreciated around the world. The 1988 United States 1-cent coin is part of the long-running and historically important Lincoln cent series, first introduced in 1909 to honor the 100th birth anniversary of Abraham Lincoln. By 1988, the Lincoln cent had already been circulating for nearly 80 years, making it one of the most recognized and collected coins in American history. Issued by the United States Mint, the 1988 penny reflects both tradition and modern coin production technology, as it was struck during the era when U.S. coinage had transitioned from solid copper to copper-plated zinc composition. On the obverse front of the 1988 cent, you will see the familiar right-facing portrait of Abraham Lincoln. This portrait was originally designed by Victor David Brenner in 1909 and has remained largely unchanged ever since. The word liberty appears to the left of Lincoln's portrait, while the date 1988 is shown on the right side. Above Lincoln's head, along the rim, is a national motto, "In God We Trust." This motto became mandatory on all U.S. coins during the 1950s, reflecting the country's emphasis on faith during the Cold War era. Brenner's initials VDB are located at the base of Lincoln's shoulder, a small detail that collectors often check when examining the coin closely. The reverse back of the 1988 penny features the Lincoln Memorial design, which was introduced in 1959 to commemorate the 150th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. This reverse was designed by Frank Gasparro. The Lincoln Memorial building is shown in the center of the coin, and if you look very closely between the columns, you can see a tiny statue of Lincoln inside the memorial, an impressive detail considering the coin's small size. Above the building appears the inscription "United States of America," and just below that is a Latin phrase "E Pluribus Unum," meaning "out of many, one." At the bottom center of the coin is a denomination 1 cent. The Lincoln Memorial reverse remained in use until 2008 before being replaced in 2009 by special bicentennial designs. One of the most important features of the 1988 cent is its metal composition. Unlike pre-1982 pennies that were 95% copper, the 1988 penny is made primarily of zinc, 97.5%, with a thin outer coating of copper, 2.5%. This change in composition began in 1982 due to rising copper prices. The 1988 penny weighs approximately 2.5 grams, lighter than older copper cents which weighed 3.11 grams. The diameter remains 19 millimeters, and the edge is plain, smooth, without reeds. Because of its zinc core, damaged 1988 cents sometimes show corrosion or bubbling when the copper plating wears away. The 1988 Lincoln cent was minted at 3 facilities: Philadelphia, Denver, and San Francisco. Philadelphia coins carry no mint mark during that era. Denver coins have a D mint mark below the date, and San Francisco produced proof coins with an S mint mark. Proof coins are specially struck for collectors using polished dies and planchets, resulting in a mirror-like background and sharp details. These proof coins were not intended for circulation, and are usually found in collector sets. The mintage numbers for the 1988 penny were very high, reflecting the strong demand for small change in the United States economy. Billions of coins were produced at Philadelphia and Denver, making the 1988 penny extremely common in circulated condition. Because of this large production, most 1988 pennies found in pocket change today are worth only face value, 1 cent. However, uncirculated examples in high mint state grades can sell for a small premium, especially coins graded MS66 or higher with bright red color and strong luster. Color plays an important role in determining value for collectors. Lincoln cent are categorized as brown, BN, red-brown, RB, or red road. A fully red road coin that retains its original mint shine is generally more desirable. Over time, exposure to air and handling can cause copper surfaces to darken to brown. Since the 1988 penny has only a thin copper plating, maintaining bright red color depends on proper storage and minimal handling. An interesting and well-known variety exists for the 1988 penny. Some 1988 cents were mistakenly struck with a reverse design intended for 1989. This variety is known as the 1988 reverse of 1989. The difference is subtle and usually identified by examining the designer's initials FG for Frank Gasparo near the base of the Lincoln Memorial. On the reverse of 1989 variety, the initials are positioned slightly differently and are closer to the building. This variety is scarce and can be worth significantly more than a normal 1988 cent, especially in high grades. Collectors often use magnification to check for this rare design difference. Error coins from 1988 can also carry value. Examples include off-center strikes, double die varieties, clip planches, and die cracks. A strong double die obverse may show noticeable doubling in the lettering or date. Such coins, if verified and in good condition, may be worth many times face value depending on the strength of the error and overall preservation. Historically, 1988 was a year of global political changes and technological growth. In the United States, it was a presidential election year that resulted in the election of George H.W. Bush. Although the penny design did not change that year, the coin circulated during a time when America was approaching the end of the Cold War era. The Lincoln cent continued to symbolize national unity and heritage, carrying inscriptions that reflect American values: liberty, in God we trust, and e pluribus unum. In terms of grading, coins are evaluated on a scale from 1 to 70. A circulated 1988 penny may grade anywhere from good, G4, to extremely fine, EF40, depending on wear. An uncirculated coin with no wear and full luster can grade mint state, MS60 to MS70. Perfect MS70 coins are extremely rare because even tiny marks can reduce the grade. Certified high-grade coins encapsulated by professional grading services often sell at auction for higher prices than raw, uncertified examples. Because of its zinc composition, the 1988 penny is less attractive for metal value hoarders compared to older copper cents. The intrinsic metal value of a 1988 penny is very close to its face value. However, collectors may still save high-quality examples, proof coins, and rare varieties such as a reverse of 1989. In summary, the 1988 United States 1-cent coin is a modern-era Lincoln cent featuring Abraham Lincoln classic portrait on the obverse and the Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. Produced in massive numbers, it remains common in circulation today. While most examples are worth only 1 cent, certain high-grade coins, proof issues, and rare design varieties can carry additional collector value. As part of the historic Lincoln cent series, the 1988 penny continues to represent American heritage, national unity, and a long-standing legacy of Abraham Lincoln in U.S. coinage history.